It's 10 o'clock Tuesday morning, time for Tom and Shane Business and Politics. And here we are at last, together again, as they say. Well, we got a interesting show for you today because we're going to talk about why in the hell don't we have any diesel fuel? What's going on with the diesel fuel shortage? And we want to talk about that this morning because it's kind of a big deal, Shane. How are we going to get goods and services to market? Trains, 18 wheelers. Come on.
Yeah. It's a real, scary reality. Three of the most important things for survival: home heating, 6% of the diesel is used. 63%, of course, for um, 18 wheelers or delivery of transport or large trucks, and
Mm-hmm.
the rest is trains. I mean, the rail
Yeah.
sector.
Mm-hmm.
People may not realize, most people do, but not all, that trains run on diesel now and have for
Mm-hmm.
over 150 years or 120 years, whatever.
Yeah, they
And
have. Yeah.
it's um, it's an interesting aspect of petroleum because in trucks it's cleaner, but in trains it's dirty. It's sort of a cosmo, it's an
Mm-hmm.
oxymoron, right?
Yeah. Well, one thing I do know, Shane, I don't know that most gas stations aren't near train stations, uh, or
That's right.
or or a pipeline running underneath the station. So the only way to get diesel to the gas station for trucks is by a truck.
That's right, a tanker
Yeah,
truck, and
yeah,
and
yeah.
the only way to get most diesel, like 85% of
Hmm.
the diesel coming from the Caribbean coast of Texas, Louisiana,
Yeah.
Alabama, most if not all of that is hauled by truck
Hmm.
or by train. There's
Yeah.
very few diesel pipelines because environmentalists have prevented them from being built.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. We're going to talk about that in a minute. One of the reasons underinvestment in refining capacity and refinery closures due to the COVID back 2021 and so on, and operation disruption have all contributed to the scarcity of refined oil products this year, and especially diesel. And U.S. diesel stocks have been on a stable decline for months, reaching the lowest level since 2008 as of October, which we just finished up, Shane.
Yes, and this is, and as you point out, one of the issues, of course, is this transition of either maintenance of the existing oil refineries or the transition to different types of gasoline.
Yeah, they're going to winter blends now. Yeah,
Yeah, so when you go
they're
to winter
switching over.
blend, it also
Mm-hmm.
includes diesel.
Right.
It has a lighter winter blend, so it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't uh, generate as much smoke
Mm-hmm.
or carbon smoke as most people would argue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the fact is that it's an essential aspect
Mhm.
of our survival in the 21st century.
Yeah.
You can't have the 21st century in a first world country without
Mm.
oil.
Yeah. Well, currently, according to some experts, we have about 25 days of diesel supply in reserve. That's not much, Shane. That's pretty small. And the Continental Pipeline that you mentioned earlier has been fully booked to carry diesel fuel and other distillants to the East Coast, with the first deliveries expected early this month. So there may be some delay in getting that diesel there where they need it on the East
That's
Coast.
right.
And you're talking about, of course, the pipeline or the heating oil goes along with the diesel, of course. And this is not only in the United States, this is going to be a disaster in Europe as well.
Well, yeah, this is going to be an exceptional uh, winter problem, and it'll be a monetary one because of the cost of gas.
Hmm.
The Europeans, 8 years ago, made this big decision to go with natural gas, which is efficient. That's good for
Hmm.
heating, and they've transitioned a lot of the continent to it. moved away from steam and nuclear power and
Mhm.
coal, which is
Mhm.
fine. But the problem is,
Mhm.
get where do you get it? So
Mhm.
now you find that they're having to buy it not on the open market, but primarily from Russia.
Mhm.
The Americans are doing everything they can to try and create the tanking facilities, tankers that would move it, gas to Europe. But so people are going to be spending 30 to 40% of their entire income to heat their homes in.
Yeah, yeah, their heating bill may be more than their mortgage.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
double. Yeah.
Wendy says, "Good morning, guys. So thanks for being here. We appreciate you, Wendy. Thanks for joining our little group this morning. So we really appreciate that. Another thing, Shane, as the shortage of diesel fuel spreads across the U.S., and one company is requesting a 72-hour advance notice from their clients to be able to make delivery. I mean, 72 hours, man. That's uh, that's a lifetime when you're talking about energy.
That's 3 days. That's right. And
Mhm.
you look at the arc of the power of oil. The largest oil company in the world is the China Petroleum Chemical Corp. People wouldn't think
Mhm.
that, but it is 400 billion in
Mhm.
revenue. And then you start down the list of European or American and European Exxon and Chevron and Mobil and
Mhm.
BP and so forth. But all of these have the same thing in common, and that is that as developing economies or first world economies, it's all predicate or the based on oil. So
Mhm.
when you talk about home heating oil, it's seasonal and it becomes expensive. And you talk
Mhm.
about gasoline or diesel, it becomes seasonal and expensive. And
Mhm.
so when you have all of these issues in hand, particularly dealing with trade or transport or delivery of product on such a
Mhm.
global scale, and the politics don't fit. You like it? The policy
Mhm.
and politics don't fit with the need or the
Yeah.
requirement. It
Mhm.
creates a huge amount of confusion in the markets, huge
Mhm.
amount of confusion with companies, their planning, their future planning, and people's
Mhm.
lives. Because what are the three things that you need every day? You need oil to run your car or heat your home,
Mhm.
and you need water,
Mhm.
fresh, and you need food.
Yeah.
Those are the three
Mhm.
essentials for survival. And without oil in our society, you wouldn't have those.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. Tanker tracking data, excuse me, shows that at least two tankers with some 90,000 tons of diesel and jet fuel that were initially bound for Europe were diverted toward the U.S. East Coast. Now, I bet the clients that ordered those two tankers are pissed, Shane, that those aren't gonna show up anywhere other than the East Coast. So
Well,
that's interesting. They can turn them around and send them back here as opposed to where they were supposed to go.
yeah, this is a cat and mouse game. The tankers at
Mhm.
sea.
Mhm.
There seems to be this continuing um, fair exchange, let's say,
Mhm.
of oil or diesel or jet fuel or uh,
Mhm.
any other oil commodity in a tanker at sea. Yeah, I mean, it could be heading for a port in India and
Mhm.
halfway there get diverted because a better price for it comes from China.
Mhm.
And Enron, we got into this with them with electricity, right?
Yeah.
And we
Mhm.
saw what happened there. But this is more dangerous because an
Mhm.
interruption, a serious interruption of the flow of this commodity, because it's a global one,
Mhm.
could cause untold problems. The
Yeah.
issues that fall in line with it could be quite horrific.
Yeah. Well, the Ukraine thing for Europe is certainly screwing things up for those folks. That's part of the issue that's going on over there, of course, and the fact that we've stopped virtually all exploration here, shut down the XL pipeline and other things. The XL might have been done by now. Who knows?
Oh
Whether
yeah,
that would
no.
have,
Oh, it
whether
was
that would
done.
have,
It was.
yeah.
It just needed. It's done. It's in the ground. It's all.
Mhm.
the big problem they had was crossing the. I'm trying to think of the river. The
Mm,
river in is it between Nebraska and North Dakota or South
mhm,
Dakota?
yeah,
And that
mhm,
was the one
mhm,
that the final one
mhm,
that environmentalists were using to hold it up. That oh, it
mhm,
would
mhm,
destroy the river, and do you build
yeah,
it over the
mhm,
top of the river or under the river? And you know
yeah,
the
mhm,
the people in charge, the engineers, the companies
mhm,
building it
mhm,
said, just tell us what you want.
yeah,
If you want us to put it under the river, we'll do it. Like
yeah.
whatever you want.
What do you want? Yeah,
Yeah,
it crosses a major aquifer also in that area. That was one of the
yeah,
bones of contention there.
but it's not deep enough to
No,
affect.
it isn't. No, it isn't. That's the
That's the
problem.
joke. I mean,
Yeah.
it's literally a joke. They make this big,
Mhm,
oh, it's going to
mhm,
contaminate the aquifer if there's a
mhm,
break in
mhm,
the line.
mhm.
These are only down 8 to 10 feet, and
Yeah, they're not.
that's because of
Mhm,
the winter
mhm,
freeze. Okay,
yeah.
so
Mhm,
y- y- depending
yeah.
on where you're at and the climate that you're dealing with, if
Mhm,
you're in a milder area that doesn't have a hard, freeze to maybe 2, 3 feet,
mhm,
then you can go down 5, 6 feet.
yeah.
But if you have a hard freeze, like in parts of Canada, like Alberta or
Mhm,
Alaska or what, you got to go down 8, 9 feet. Um,
mhm,
Even
mhm,
though what science developed was the above ground pipeline that they heated, so it
mhm.
wasn't a
Yeah.
problem. So
Yeah,
yeah,
the caribou love it. They come over there and stand around it and stay warm and, whatever, and well, the other thing too, Shane, that, pipeline leaks aren't what they used to be. These things have, computers all up and down the line. They can shut it off in a New
that's
York
right,
second.
a hundred
If
percent.
yeah, you don't hear of pipeline spills very often being a serious issue, but,
And
they
now they have
Mhm,
this amazing technology where they have robots literally in the James
mhm,
Bond movie 20 years ago,
mhm. Yeah.
where the robot runs inside the pipeline, does the welding.
Mhm, mhm,
When that those two gas lines of
mhm,
Russia's exploded,
mhm,
and we talked about it. Yeah, they're only in
mhm.
like 2 or 300 feet of water,
Yeah,
and they sent down some
mhm.
equipment to videotape it, and it blew out. It didn't
Yeah,
so
that's true.
and so it was a
Mhm.
gas leak, and they were repairing it,
Mhm.
and there was a seam of gas that came
Yeah,
along the line, and they were
yeah,
welding it from inside, and boom,
yeah,
it
done
blew
deal.
up.
Yeah,
So
okay.
as I said, we called
Mhm.
it. We
Yeah,
said that's what it
mhm.
was, and we said the reason the Russians don't want to admit to it is because the environmental damage that it's causing.
Amen. All right. I thought we were talking about 25 days of diesel. Well, Bruce, you got to get here at 10 o'clock. You got to get here when we start. We we've gone through a little bit on the diesel, and that's what we're talking about. We kind of got sidelined on pipelines because one of the pipelines is completely booked to transport diesel, and that's where we are. So train spells,
And there's no
trains. Hang
reserve.
on, hang on, hang on. Train spells happen every day, and you don't hear about that either. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say there's no reserve. Your government made no allowance for reserve of
Mhm.
diesel.
Yeah.
But then that's because unlike oil, gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel have a shelf life,
Mhm.
and people need to know this. One of the reasons that you see prices at your gas station, every 10 days or 9 days, or when they're running out of gas, the price will drop, is because they don't want to
Mhm.
mix fresh gas with old. Number one, but the gas they have mixed will stay at the bottom, and it's a shelf life.
Yeah.
It starts to break down. Gas
Mhm.
is not it's not a safe component as we know,
Yeah, you
but
can't store it like you can
that's right.
oil.
You
Oil you
can
can
store
store for
diesel or
yeah,
gasoline. No, you can't.
yeah,
Not like
yeah,
oil.
yeah. Diesel or yeah, because it's a volatile explosive, igniter, I should say. And so, yeah, having 25 days when you talk about the number of diesel trucks that are running around, the number of diesel trains that are running
That's right.
around, and not only that, farm equipment are also diesel. Farmers have diesel trucks, so they get diesel tractors, all of
Buses.
this stuff, buses. Yeah. So, yeah, this is a major, major deal, particularly with the inflation that we have now a shortage of diesel is a serious deal.
It is, but one of the fascinating things about it too is that if you look at the price of diesel over the last 30 years, it
Mm-hmm.
hasn't much changed. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Back in the 80s, when
Hmm.
car manufacturers started making diesel engines, it was because there became this vast difference between diesel and gasoline. I mean, diesel was still at 10, 20, 25 cents. It was cheap.
True. Yeah. Yeah, it
And,
was.
and
Yeah.
you know, and gasoline was starting to get over a buck.
Hmm.
And so these guys said, "Well, God, we got these diesel engines for trucks. You know, let's build one. Let's put them in cars."
Yeah.
And you know, if you ever been around a diesel car or truck, I mean, there's a definite scent to the air. It
Hmm.
smells.
It's
And
different. Yeah, it's different.
it's a different type of fuel. Anyway, having said that, the point is that so over the last 40 years, there's not been a gigantic shift in the price of diesel. It's always been 10 or 15% of either side of $5,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the other thing too, Bruce points out, when a hurricane comes, the prices go up because they have shut down the refineries, and we did have that somewhat. Obviously, when Katrina hit Louisiana and the coast there, yeah, we had some raises in gas prices there. And but yeah, you're right, Shane. That you raise the price to slow down consumption, you lower the price to bring consumption back up. But
Yeah. But,
I mean,
you
it's
know,
a
in the
supply
case of
and demand.
that's right. But in this case, the need is so important for the
Mhm,
success of the uh,
mhm.
economy and people.
Yeah.
It's not one of these problems, you know. It does, all of a sudden, it doesn't
Mhm,
become a policy, a political issue. Diesel,
mhm.
you
Yeah.
know, there's no draw towards it in the media or a conversation about it because you know it's too dangerous because
Mhm,
it's too important and you know global warming and all this other environmental
mhm.
doodah.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk about diesel because they know the importance of it and they
Oh,
have
yeah.
no logical argument, right? Like,
Mhm. Yeah.
they,
Well
you
well,
can't,
then
let's have a discussion, okay, of how to starve, you
yeah,
know.
right. Well, the Northeast has been fueled by heating oil for years. They've slowly made the transition to natural gas, but old habits die hard, and those people in the East Coast, Northeast, may have a tough winter.
That's right. And
Their prices are going to be off the charts. Yeah.
heating oil is like the slag of the petroleum process,
Mhm.
because it's basically what's left over after lubricants.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
Yeah.
the first
Yeah.
thing they make is jet fuel.
Mhm.
Then they make gasoline. Then they make diesel. Then they make lubricants. You know, and
Mhm.
then they
Yeah.
have this sludge left over they call heating
Yeah.
oil.
Yeah.
And you know, the great thing
Mhm.
about it is it's simple. Because
Mhm.
it's easy to pump
Mhm.
because it's a sludge.
Mhm.
So you know if you've got a hose, you got to go up or down, you know, a hill to get to someone's tank for their house.
Yeah.
You know, it's not too difficult, and you can unwind the
Mhm.
hose off the back of your truck, and either
Mhm.
gravity or a small pump will push it
Mhm.
easily for you because it's sludge.
Yeah.
But having
Mhm.
said that, you know, it's again, it's one of the five most important
Mhm.
byproducts of
Mhm.
the refining process, and
Mhm. Yeah.
people just don't.
Mhm.
They just refuse to discuss it. And you and I say we got to get this down
Yeah.
to lubricants and petrochemicals. I mean,
Mhm.
that's what we need oil for. That it can't
Yeah.
be jet
Mhm.
fuel, car, diesel, or home heating.
Yeah.
You just can't.
Well, and as we've talked about, gas and food are immune from inflation because they're a world commodity. They're not just a U.S. commodity. So
That's right.
the price around the world varies on food and fuel. So it's not included in the normal inflation, which they say is 8%. We think it's more like 14 or 15.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
And when you include all the other amenities that aren't included in it. So yeah, diesel, not being able to get stuff to stores, not being able to get it to the market, not being able to train travel. Look at the people on the East Coast that travel by train. All over Washington and
That's
Virginia,
the
and
corridor before, yeah, the
yeah, yeah,
corridor from
New York, back
to
and
New
forth.
England,
Oh yeah, yeah. Trains are a big deal there. So it's
well, they
this.
are because they've been building them for 200 years.
Well, yeah, sure, yeah.
That's what
Well,
that was
that's
the
the way
base.
people commute
That's
in those areas.
the South.
Subways are electric, but still,
Right. The South
you know,
never built a train network, and that
yeah,
was one of the biggest reasons they lost the Civil War because they had
mhm,
no transport.
yeah,
Logistics are everything in that, but logistics in
hmm
this age of
hmm
consumerism is important too. It's like fighting a war,
yeah,
and getting from A to Z with B, Y, and N in between
hmm
somewhere is a constant issue that people in the supply link are dealing with. That's why you walk in the
hmm
stores and you see all these
hmm
empty shelves. It's not that those products aren't out there. It's just they're not getting
yeah.
delivered.
Yeah, well, that's the issue. Well, as we mentioned at the first of the show, since we've had people maybe joining us late, underinvestment in refining capacity, refinery closures, and operation disruptions have all contributed to the scarcity of refined oil products this year, but especially in diesel. And stocks have been in a stable decline for months, reaching the lowest level since 2008 in October. And of course, we had the 2007, 2008 big recession, Great Recession at the time, Shay, that you remember, of course. So that's been
Yeah, but
quite
all
a
the
deal.
networks, all the networks, are props and plant bangers and clapping because
Mhm.
October, best October since 1972. Well, they're just lucky it wasn't a crash like 29
That's true.
because this isn't going to be a hard crash. It's going to be. I've said this since last February, just November when
hmm
I called it.
Yeah.
It'll be a bull slush and a
hmm
bull slash. So every time you see
hmm
these numbers that
hmm
they talk
hmm
about, oh, this is a rebound, it's turning around. No,
Yeah. No, it
it's
isn't.
a
Yeah.
market push.
hmm
People
Yeah.
covering
hmm
shorts and other people's jumping in for whatever stupid reason they are,
hmm
and those
hmm
people buying are getting sold short too.
hmm
So it's
Yeah.
here it is. It's going to go down, cover, go down. I mean, I have to keep going down. It'll
Yeah, I
go
know.
up, down, and this is going to go on for
hmm
at least another 6 months to 2 years. No,
Oh, yeah,
this
at
is not.
least.
This is
Well, and the
going to go
Federal
on.
Reserve is gonna act this week, I think, Shane, or in the
Yes.
next few days, and they're expected to raise rates again.
Yep.
So that's going to put
0.75
a
at
kibosh.
least.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's gonna put a kibosh on housing because mortgage loans
Everything.
are already hurting, and everything that's involved in a home has oil in it somewhere.
That's
I mean,
right.
everything. Maybe so yeah, it's gonna be a tough winter, I think, for a lot of folks, particularly in cold weather areas. So
That's right. Generation X and Y are going to learn what the baby boomers and
mhm,
our children,
mhm,
that generation learned, and that is
yeah,
one important word: renovation.
yeah,
Go to a city or a town and find a beaten down building that's 30, 40 years old, 50 years
mhm.
old. Buy it for a
Pennies
dollar,
on
a dime
pennies
on
on
the
the
dollar,
dollar. Yeah.
and then sink 100,000 or whatever into it, or 200, and do it all yourself,
Mhm,
and it'll take you maybe a year or two, depending on how bad the renovations are or what you have to
yeah,
do.
or how
And all
expensive
of
the
a sudden,
stuff
you're going to
is.
have a great home that's basically paid
Mhm.
for.
Yeah, so well, well, hindsight's 2020. We
It
always know what
is.
to do afterwards.
Well, the great thing about
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
X and Y generation is they can work from home, so they can live
That's
anywhere.
true. Yeah. Well,
So
certainly a lot of people can. There's no
yeah,
question
that's
about
right.
that.
So
Yeah, that's for
you can
sure.
move to
Yeah.
rural America and find an
Mhm.
old home and renovate it.
Yeah.
Not a place like Bozeman. You know, that was done 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
You missed that train.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty pricey to live here. For the benefit of anyone who doesn't know, I'm in Bozeman, Montana. Shane's in Kamloops, Canada. So we are an international show, but
And we're sister cities and
yeah.
about the same size.
Mhm.
We're 500 miles apart. I'm 500 miles north and in a mountain valley like you.
Yeah.
Same weather, even though
Mhm.
I'm
Pretty
farther
much.
north. I mean, we same temperature. We talk about it all year
Yeah.
round.
Yeah.
But having said that, you know, prices here with the dollar at 28% to the U.S., you can still buy a $2, 3, $400,000 home and renovate it. There's nothing left in Bozeman.
Yeah. Yeah.
So secondary cities are now being
Mhm.
sucked up. We talked about this. Major cities are done. Can't buy
Yeah.
there.
Mm-mm.
And so, you know, you got the third tier cities, you know, like a Livingston in
Mhm.
Montana or, you know, a Salmon Arm in BC or Timmins or, you know,
Mhm.
if you're
Yeah.
looking. So
Mm.
that's where the next generation is looking. And
Yeah.
it's a difficult reality, but
Mhm.
that's lucky.
That's it. Well, the TV show Yellowstone is bringing people here in droves to, and Bozeman. I think last time we checked, the 3-bedroom home in Bozeman is going to cost you 800 to a million.
That's right.
So it's not a cheap place to live. So
And
I'm
that's not
happy.
new.
No, that's not new. I'm happy. My mortgage is paid, and I'm out of that mess. So
Yeah, you're
yeah,
saved. And so the
yeah,
misery index by
yeah.
misery index by spring will be interest rates will be
Hmm.
well into double digits. Inflation will be, yeah, you know,
Hmm.
15 to
Hmm.
20. So it'll
Yeah.
be just like
Hmm.
a Reagan Carter
Hmm.
situation where the
Yeah.
misery index is like 25 to 30 when you add the two together. It's going to be ugly, Thomas.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough winter, I think so. Well, diesel fuel, 25 days left. Can we do something about this? Is it going to are we going to start seeing more shortages on the shelves? We going to ration diesel fuel? All of the above. Um,
Well, you
you
can't
know,
because
yeah,
of what it's needed for. You can't ration it from trains or trucks, so
yeah.
you're stuck. So
Mhm.
here's the terrible reality: the price will go up, and
Mhm.
all that means is more inflation and more cost
Mhm.
to everybody
Mhm.
for everything that they consume. So
Yeah.
regrettably, that in the next 25 days, I mean,
Mhm.
you won't run out of diesel, even though you know you use about 4 million barrels of diesel.
Well, I don't know, Shane. They only say we have 25 days left
Well, they still produce it
of
every day.
supply. Well,
Yeah, but they
but
produce
getting
it
it
every
there
day.
is
Yeah.
the issue. Getting it
I
there is the issue.
I think there's 25 days left of in the system. You know,
Mhm.
they want to build that back up to it. Turnaround is 30,
Yeah.
45,
Mhm.
because they're like the lack of pipelines. You know,
Yeah.
it's not as reliable. So,
Yeah. So
and with winter coming, you see, the big question is how bad's the winter going to be?
yeah. There we are. Yeah, that's the climate change question, huh, Shane?
That is it, baby.
Well, let me remind you that we, the award-winning Tom and Shane, we're live on radio every Saturday, 8 to 11 Mountain Time. You can listen live to our shows at kmmsam.com. Just click listen now. Nothing to join, no sign up needed, no email, no personal information. All you got to do is go over there and listen to, well, us. Because we have fun doing it. And our past shows, if you want a sample of what we do on radio and any of our past YouTube and Facebook Live presentations, Tom and Shane past shows are also at kmmsam.com. Just click on Tom and Shane's podcast. No cost to go over there for anything. And of course, we need to remind you that, well, you really should subscribe to our channel. I mean, why not, huh? Don't hit that subscribe button on the screen because that's just a graphic. Hit the subscribe button in the lower right hand corner if you're watching this in replay or below the video on YouTube. And also, Shane and I both write on medium.com. So you can check out our articles over there. There's a link in the description below to reach that. And if you'd like to support the show monetarily, we would appreciate that very much. We'll do wonderful, great things for you if you do. And there's a link to contribute down below as well. And if you like to make videos like this, hey, we do it with StreamYard. And you can see how easy it is. Even I can run it. It's that simple. And I'm as dumb as a box of rocks. So I can make it happen. You can too. And
A
there's a
lot of
link
history
to
in that box of rocks.
there's a link to the description below for a free version of StreamYard that you can check it out and try it, see if you like it. And you too can be making big bucks on YouTube by making videos. So, all
And
right,
props
that's gonna.
out. Wait 1 sec. I still have a comment. Props out to America because today's the 1st of November and 7 days you're having your big election. So Thursday, it's winner pick all. It's going to
Yeah.
be, one of our favorite shows over the years. The Thursday before Election Day, which is Thursday, and a week from that is Tom's birthday, of course. But anyway, you want to join us on Thursday? We'll pick out some candidates people haven't talked about. Like there's a senator in New York State, federal.
You're talking about next Tuesday, not next Thursday.
I'm sorry. No, the election is Tuesday.
Yeah.
Thursday's webcast is who wins. We're going to give you an overview of that. Like Gillibrand is running in New York, and
but the results will all be in on Thursday.
Today is Tuesday, Tom. I'm talking about Thursday, the 3rd of November.
Oh, okay. I thought we were. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought we were going to do our predictions on election day and then review if we were right on the following Thursday.
That too. I mean, we got to. I mean, it's
okay.
But we'll have a whole weekend to see how stupid the Democrats act with Obama and Biden and and Harris and Hillary and Mrs. Obama and all the wonders of the Democratic Party trying to save this off. But the point is, on Thursday, we will talk about some of the candidates that we like in states that look like they have exposure, like that goofy senator in Connecticut. What's the ex-Vietnam vet?
Blumenthal.
It's Connecticut, right?
Yeah, Blumenthal.
Blumenthal. Yeah, he's having a tight one. No, but he could lose too. I mean, there's a good chance that this does turn into a tsunami. I think it'll be a tidal wave, but if it's a tsunami, there's a lot of people that could get bounced. So it is going to be interesting.
Well,
that's my comment.
All right. Bye. Okay. Let me go back over here because we got to say goodbye. All right. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, ring the notification bell. You'll always be notified when we're on at any time zone you happen to be in. Like us, leave a comment. We would appreciate that very much. And we'll see you on Thursday.